Hi and welcome to me, Jennifer Valentine-Miller, on the Jennifer Valentine-Miller Show on PRZ FM 109.2, bringing you another seasonal episode because it is the reason for the season. So amongst the festive treats and Christmas carols, how about another Christmas carol, which is a Christmas carol from the great English author Charles Dickens? Because a Christmas carol beautifully illustrates the essence of the Victorian era during Christian minimalism, realigning one of life's focus on what matters most, which is loving and serving God and others, and intentionally removing everything else. So within the Christmas Carol, or A Christmas Carol, is a main character who is called Ebenezer Scrooge. And Ebenezer also carries a biblical symbolism in the books of Samuel. Eben and Ezer is mentioned as the location of a battle between the Israelites and the Philistines. And Samuel prayed for God's protection during the battle, and he answered the Philistines, who retreated back to their own lands. And it says in 1 Samuel 7:12, then Samuel took a stone and set it up between Mizpath, and Jesanath, and named Ebenezer, for he said, thus far the Lord has helped us. And that is in the land of Jesanath. Ebenezer then is a stone that is set up as a reminding monument set up by the receiver that retells the help given by God. And as a result, his name alludes to the fact that Dickens wants his readers to understand that God is a helper and Ebenezer will be the vessel. So despite many films and interpretation, Scrooge really comes to light and is about a one-night life-changing experience leading up to Christmas Day. And many will work so hard to achieve and preserve for their own comfort and security. Ultimately, this security can end up becoming an imprisonment for the individual, especially if their achievements are not shared with their neighbours. And it would have been scary enough for Dickens to conclude the first chapter with Scrooge's dead business partner, who was Marley, appearing as a ghost. And he goes on, however, to describe the spirit's anguish in detail, depicting him as a man burdened by chains, tied to money boxes full of cash and coins that no longer have any significance. Even more haunting is Marley's afterlife sentence, doomed to circle around the neighbourhoods he once lived and worked in, his eyes now open to all the poverty and pain in it. He longs to intercede by sharing his heavy loaded money with those he encounters, but his chance has come and gone. And as the first ghost describes it, he has to endure the incessant torture of remorse. Now, Dickens' ghost story preaches the haunting message that indeed you can and do. It seeks to send a cold and chill down anyone's spine during this cold winter season, when we realise that what we arrest and acquire in this life might one day arrest and acquire us. So when Scrooge tries to reason with this ghost, offering that at least he was good as a businessman, Marley's response seems to leap from the original 18th century context into our modern 21st century culture. Mankind was my business. The common welfare was my business. Charity, mercy, forbearance, and benevolence were all my business. The dealings of my trade were but a drop of water, and I gave benevolence in the comprehensive ocean of my business. And as we watch the adaptations and simply walk away the message that Scrooge was too money hungry or didn't have enough Christmas cheer, we are missing out on a Dickens' bigger invitation. And there's a pervading message that wants to convince us that we deserve attention, that creating the life we've always dreamed for ourselves is categorically the most important thing imaginable. Protection, security, validation, and comfort are the values that tend to steer us individually, economically, and thus suicidally here in the West. We all know not to confuse these things with real joy of happiness, yet our pursuit of them routinely creates more anxiety and burden, causing us to shrivel and shrink, like old man Ebenezer. But what if the opposite were true? What if the world didn't owe us a thing, but instead our passions, talents, and longings, the raw materials that make us human beings, were unwrapped? They were gifts meant for those who need them. Perhaps a reason for us lacking Christmas spirit is because we've tried so hard to avoid suffering instead of daring to welcome it in. Like a saviour born in a stable, freedom comes when we step into the very eye of insecurity and chaos, rather than barricade ourselves from it. And it seems Dickens warns that the stronger the barricade, the heavier its weight. For all its warning, however, A Christmas Carol teaches that there are so many valuable lessons from this classical redemption narrative. And the self-preservation is learned or can be unlearned, because before we start feeling too guilty for our tendencies towards self-preservation, let's remind ourselves that, like Scrooge, we're all haunted by ghosts from the past, present and future, reminding us that life can often be volatile, relationships risky, and scarcity a threat. And global events and personal experiences have taught us to look out for ourselves above all else. inspired by marketing campaigns, politics, and trending topics, which all aid us. So suffering produces resilience, and while some of us may remember Paul's encouragement to the Romans that suffering produces perseverance, character, and hope, it's fair to question if this notion holds up in our modern world. A scholar by the name of Taleb writes about the idea of anti-fragility, a concept in economics that argues that the opposite of fragile isn't durable or firm, but rather anti-fragile. And objects that are anti-fragile aren't immune to stresses, faults, or failures, but rather increase in their robustness and resilience the more they come in contact with them. It's the individual, not the institution, that Dickens seems to be more concerned with in his holiday ghost story. The private transactions of one man and his bank account, the portals capable of reconciling the past and transforming the future. It's almost as if Dickens knows that no government, leader or king can take responsibility for eradicating suffering. And Marley himself admits, for the earth must pass into eternity before the good of which it is susceptible is all developed. But the calling, if we can hear it, above all the anxiety and certainty the new year inevitably brings, the most Scrooges of us can usher in a new year without belonging and without togetherness. And they can do so more than words on the Christmas card.